My father always said I was a liar. In preschool, when a plastic truck got stepped on, I said I wasn't the one who broke it. He told the teacher I was lying. Our next-door neighbor, Mr. Peterson, came over to borrow a wrench and noticed a dark purple bruise on my father's calf. When he asked what happened, I said Mom had kicked him. My father laughed it off, claiming he just walked into the coffee table and told Mr. Peterson that I just loved to make things up. When Grandpa Hank asked if my dad was good to me, I told him the truth. No, he's not my real dad. My father chimed in from the doorway. Hank, I told you, the kid has a vivid imagination. He can't tell fact from fiction. Grandpa Hank just sighed, rubbed my hair, and let it go. I was 5 when my father applied for a major promotion at the County Utility Commission. Because it was a government-adjacent role handling public funds, they sent representatives to our house to conduct a routine background and character check. That was the day everyone finally realized that everything I had ever said was true. On the day of the interview, 3 people came to our house. There was Mr. Burke, a stern-looking man in his late 40s who led the questions, a young woman named Lucy, who sat with a laptop to take notes, and an older gentleman with thinning silver hair who sat quietly at the end of our sofa. Mr. Burke started with the basics, asking my father standard questions: date of birth, where he grew up, his parents' names, and when he and my mother got married. My father answered effortlessly, his smile warm and perfectly measured. Mr. Burke nodded, noting down a few things, before turning to me. His expression softened. And what about you, buddy? Is your dad good to you? The living room fell dead silent. He hits me, I said, a lot. My mother's hand froze as she set down a teacup. My father's smile didn't slip, but I noticed his fingers tremble slightly against his knee. He let out a soft, helpless laugh, the sound of a patient, wounded parent. He looked at Mr. Burke and shook his head. You see what I have to deal with, Mr. Burke. He's like this all the time. Not a single word out of his mouth is true. He gently pulled up my sleeve, exposing my bare arm. It was smooth, pale, and completely unmarked. You be the judge, Mr. Burke. If I beat him every day, would he look like this? Mr. Burke looked at my arm and remained silent. My father kept going, his voice growing thick with emotion. He's been doing this since he was 3. His preschool teacher said he pushed another child off the slide, and he absolutely refused to admit it. The moment I try to discipline him, he goes around telling everyone I abuse him. Tears began to well up in my father's eyes, his voice cracking. Since the day he was born, I've given him everything: food, clothes, toys. He's never wanted for anything, and this is how he repays me, by bad-mouthing me to anyone who will listen. I don't know what I did to make him hate me so much. My mother sighed beside him, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. It's true, Mr. Burke. He's had this issue since he was a toddler. We even took him to see a child psychologist. I'm not sick, I said. The room went quiet again. I looked straight at Mr. Burke. He really does hit me. It hurts. Mr. Burke studied me for a long moment. Where does he hit you, Toby? I had to think about it. My thighs. But that was in the summer when I wore shorts, and the bruises had faded. My ears. But the redness from having my ears pulled vanished quickly. They weren't red now. He just does, I said quietly. My father didn't say another word. He just stared at me, tears streaming down his cheeks. They looked so incredibly real. Mr. Burke sighed and turned to my father, his tone turning sympathetic. Kids say hurtful things when they're angry. We understand. He closed his notebook, looking ready to wrap up. But the silver-haired older gentleman, who had been silent the entire time, suddenly spoke. And why does your father hit you? The moment the question hung in the air, my father's quiet weeping stopped. My mother's hand hovered over her teacup. All eyes in the room landed on me. I looked at my father. Because he's not my real dad, I said. My real dad didn't look like him. My father's face drained of color. It was only for a fraction of a second before his wounded, pitying expression returned. He shook his head. This boy, I honestly don't know what to do with him anymore. Mr. Burke finished packing up his briefcase and said they would head back to verify the information. The silver-haired man was the last to leave. He paused at the doorway, turning back to give me a long, searching look. It felt like he was trying to see right through me, searching for something hidden deep beneath the surface. But he didn't say anything. The second the front door clicked shut, my father grabbed my arm, dragging me down the hallway and throwing me into the bathroom. The light flickered off. The door locked from the outside. In the pitch black, his muffled voice drifted through the wood. Say one more word like that, and you're sleeping on the floor in there tonight. I sat on the tile, leaning against the base of the toilet. I didn't cry. I was used to the dark, but my mind kept returning to that old man's eyes. He was different from the others. Others looked at me like I was a broken toy. He looked at me like I was a puzzle he wanted to solve. Since I was 3, my father had been building this narrative. The first time was in preschool. When a toy got broken and the teacher asked who did it, I said it wasn't me. My father was called in. In front of the teacher, he pinched my cheek hard and said, "Don't believe a word he says, Ms. Davis. He's a pathological liar." I cried, protesting my innocence, but he pinched me again, laughing it off. See? There he goes again. The second time was Mr. Peterson. He saw the dark purple bruise on my father's thigh and asked about it. I told him Mom had done it. My father laughed, blamed the door frame, and later cornered me. He squeezed my thigh until I whimpered, "Speak up again, and I'll sew your mouth shut." After Mr. Peterson left, he locked me in the bathroom for the entire afternoon. From then on, I never spoke of Mom hitting him again, but my father didn't stop. He made sure to warn everyone about my condition. Teachers, neighbors, relatives. Every time someone looked at me, there was a strange, pitying skepticism in their eyes. That's the dishonest boy. When I was 3, Grandpa Hank asked me, "Is your dad good to you, Tobes?" I said no. He's not my real dad. My father shook his head sadly. I told you, Hank. The boy can't help himself. Grandpa Hank sighed, patted my head, and left. At 4, I told him again. This time, Grandpa Hank didn't even sigh. He just looked at me with a profound, aching pity. Not because he thought I was being abused, but because he thought I was mentally ill. On my 5th birthday, I blew out my candles and made a wish. I wished for just one person to believe me. Just one. But nobody did. They all believed him. He knew how to play the victim, how to cry, how to wrap his arms around me in public and whisper, "The poor kid was just born a little off." And all I could do was repeat the same phrase over and over. "He's not my real dad." Like a broken toy that only knew one line. Until the investigators came and I said it again. I thought this would be the moment. But the look on Mr. Burke's face told me he didn't believe me either. That night, my father didn't hit me. Instead, he made me kneel on the concrete of the back porch for 2 hours. The early autumn breeze was freezing. My knees felt like they were cracking under my weight. My mother stayed in the living room, watching TV, never looking out. When Grandpa Hank called to check in, my father answered smoothly, "Oh, everything's fine, Hank. Toby is just taking a bath." When he hung up, he walked out to the porch and knelt down to meet my eyes. "Toby," he whispered, his voice as soft and sweet as a lullaby. "If you ever say those crazy things to the investigators again, I'll have you committed to an institution. They lock kids like you in rooms with straitjackets and you never get to leave. Do you understand me?" I nodded. He smiled and patted my head. "Good boy. I'll go warm up some milk for you." He got up and went inside. I kept kneeling. As the wind swept over me, a memory flickered. My real dad had warmed up milk for me too. It was the only memory I had from when I was barely a year old. He was wearing a white pajama top, carrying a warm mug from the kitchen, blowing gently on it to cool it down before handing it to me. They were not the same man. I knew it with absolute certainty, but no one believed me. 35 days passed after the investigators left. I thought they were gone for good. My father thought so too. He stopped wearing high-necked sweaters and went back to his loose t-shirts. He started shouting at my mother again, throwing dishes, sliding back into his old skin. My mother started drinking again, smashing glasses when she had too much. Everything returned to the way it had always been, except for Grandpa Hank. He started visiting more often. He would bring boxes of pastries, watching me eat in silence. Sometimes he would sigh out of nowhere, stroke my hair, and whisper, "My poor boy." I didn't know if he believed me or not. I didn't care anymore. One afternoon, I was playing in the dirt in the front yard. The doorbell rang. My father went to open it, and the cheerful greeting died in his throat. Mr. Burke was standing on the porch. It was the same 3 people. Mr. Burke, Lucy, and the silver-haired older gentleman. But this time, the older man walked in first. "Mr. David Henderson." Mr. Burke's tone was strictly professional. "We need to follow up on a few details. May we come in?" My father's smile was stiff, but he stepped aside. Of course, please." My mother came out of the kitchen. When she saw them, her face went pale, but she quickly masked it. "Mr. Burke, is there a problem with the background check?" "Just a routine follow-up," Mr. Burke said. "Please, have a seat." But they didn't sit on the sofa. The silver-haired man walked straight over to me and knelt down. "Toby," he said softly, "last time, you said this man isn't your real father. Do you have any proof?" I remembered. I had seen my real dad when he was taking a shower once. On the left side of his chest, there was a birthmark, a small, heart-shaped mark. I opened my mouth to speak, but my father let out a sudden, loud laugh. It was a cold sound that made the hair on my arm stand up. "Walter, you're seriously going to listen to a 5-year-old's fantasy? The kid is a pathological liar. What proof could he possibly have?" The old man, Walter, ignored him. He kept his eyes fixed on me. They were incredibly bright. "Don't be afraid, Toby. Take your time." Looking into Walter's eyes, I realized something. He was serious. He actually wanted to hear what I had to say. "My real dad," I said, "had a heart-shaped birthmark on the left side of his chest. He doesn't have one." My father's laughter died instantly. His face went white as paper.